Hey everyone, it's Paul. Bet you didn't know that there is a reason why artists can sell you something that looks like this from a game, but they can't sell you something that looks like this from a game without getting in legal trouble. And I'm here to explain to you why. You see, it all comes down to the difference between copyright and trademark. Now, what I'm going to talk to you about is strictly for the United States, and your laws in your country may vary. But in the United States, a copyright is a law that protects the imagery of an item for a company. A trademark is a law that protects the name brand of a product. So you can go ahead and sculpt yourself a Tom Nook, but you just can't call it Tom Nook. You can also sculpt things from Nintendo as long as you don't call it Nintendo. And that's because this imagery is copywritten. It's not trademarked. In the United States, when you go to a con like a Comic-Con or any kind of competition where there might be people dressing up, they are utilizing the copyright forgiveness gray area that a lot of artists use. When you create something that is the likeness of something else, the person who owns the copyright to it may in fact tell you that you are going against the law and that you are unable to create that thing. But most people who own copyright understand that that is a way of kind of putting a boot down on anybody who might like your stuff. An analogy that I like to use a lot when I'm explaining this to other people is that if you go to a Comic-Con and you have two booths, and in one booth you have the creator of a comic book series, the actual creator, the person who originated the idea, is publishing it and is putting it out there for the people, and they're at their booth selling their own artwork. And then right next to them is another booth in which the artist who really enjoys their work but isn't the one who created it is making similar style posters and stuff for people to purchase. The original creator is selling their pieces for an amount that would be representable to a person who is the founder, the creator, and the actual publisher of the art. So probably somewhere in the hundreds of dollars range. Whereas a fan, an artist over here, it can be selling things that are similar in nature, but would cost a lot less. They'll be prints for like $20 or $10. When you're at a con like that, the person who owns the copyright can see that person, and they can either decide to allow the artist who is stealing their work to continue selling it, or they can tell them not to. But they also know that fans may not be able to afford the hundreds of dollars to be spent on the actual fans stuff, the actual artists stuff, but they can afford the lesser stuff, and eventually they'll grow into a client that will be able to. And if you told everyone who was borrowing your likenesses to stop it, you just become that person, and you can actually lose your fan base from it. And so they can turn a blind eye to it. And the great thing about the law is, unless that the person who owns the copyright feels that there is an issue with it, they're allowed to kind of let it go out there without any major repercussions in the eyes of the law. Trademark is completely different. Trademark is things like the words, Legends, Spider-Man, Marvel, Hasbro. Those things are trademark names. And in the United States, if someone uses your trademark name illegally and you don't do anything to stop it, you run the potential of losing your trademark. So copyright is the imagery of it. If this figure here was just of Spider-Man, but it wasn't, and nowhere did it say it was Spider-Man, and you assume that it was Spider-Man because it looked like Spider-Man, that is okay, because that falls within the gray area of copyright. But as soon as you put the name Spider-Man or Marvel or anything else that is trademarked, Disney, any of those names on there, then it becomes an issue for the owner of the trademark to be able to keep their trademark, and they need to shut it down. Hopefully that makes sense. So there you go. I bet you didn't know the difference between trademark and copyright, but now you do. Remember to work smarter, not harder, and hopefully you guys learned something today. I know I sure did. Hope to see you next time. Take care.